Okay, welcome back. I have the answers to the last video at the very bottom of this page, so you can see how these ones worked out if you tried them out, and that's your answer. Excellent. If not, you might pause, just take a minute and check to see if your work needed a little bit of correction, or you can come and do that later. Let's talk about what happens when we have something that looks a little bit more complicated. Now, there are a couple of ways to handle these kind of multiplications, but one of the most interesting ones is to use vertical multiplication. And if you recall vertical multiplication from your arithmetic, that meant that if I wanted to multiply something like 473 times 28, what I would do is I would line up my numbers so that I had a hundreds, I had a tens column, and I had a ones column, and underneath that I would put my tens and ones from the other number. And when we multiply, of course, we use the place value to our advantage. So we take, for example, 3 times 8 to get 24. We carry the 2 in this case. We're going to do something a little bit different here. We carry the 2, so we're going to take 7 times 8, which is 56, and add 2, so that's 58. We're going to carry the 5 that we got there, and we're going to take 4 times 8, which we know to be 32, and then add 5, so we're going to get 37 here. And you'll notice I'm trying to be very careful to line up my results within columns. So I've got 3 8s, my ones column has a 4, 7, 2, the tens column has the 8, 4, no hundreds here, this is a 7 hundreds, and then of course the thousands column is the next column over. We would put a placeholder here to represent the ones because we are out of ones. We're going to take each of our digits in the top number and multiply them by the 2, which is in the tens position. So when we work that one out, we're going to get 3 times 2, which is 6 here, 7 times 2, which is 14. That's going to give us a 1 this time that we can carry out. 1 plus 4 times 2 gives us 9. And notice that everything's lined up, these nice neat columns, so we're going to get 4. 8 plus 6 gives us 14, so we're going to have a 1 to carry here. 7 plus 4 is 11, plus 1 more gives us 12. 1 plus 3 plus 4, that's going to give us 13. So our result will be 13,244 as the result of multiplying together 473 times 28. Well, how do we use that here? In a way, we're doing exactly the same kind of multiplication, only this time we have a squareds column, a y to the first column, and a constants column. So if I were to multiply these two using this method, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take y squared plus 3y plus 1, and I'm going to multiply that by y minus 2. So now what's going to happen is this. When I multiply, each of these terms in the top are going to be first multiplied by the constants column. So I'm going to take plus 1 and negative 2. That's going to give me minus 2 here. I'm going to take plus 3y times negative 2y. That's going to give me negative 6y here. I'm going to take y squared times negative 2. So that's negative 2y squared here. Notice again that I'm lining everything up in terms of columns. I don't have any numbers to carry, even if they were large enough to carry, so in this case we don't have to worry about that. But now we're not going to have any more constants, so we could put a 0 placeholder here if we wanted to. But we're going to be taking positive 1 times y, so that's plus 1y here. We're going to take 3y times y. We know that to be plus 3y squared, so we're going to put that here in the y squareds column. But now we're going to get a new column, which is y squared times y. So that gives me y to the third power, and I'm going to put that out here in its own fourth column. And just like we did in this multiplication, we're just going to add directly down. So we're going to take negative 2 plus 0 to get negative 2. Negative 6y plus 1y, that's going to give us negative 5y. Negative 2y squared plus 3y squared, so you recognize that's going to be plus 1y squared. and then plus y cubed. So our resulting expression here should be y cubed plus y squared minus 5y minus 2. Okay, there's a problem right here. I'd like you to pause for a minute and just try this out yourselves. I'll give you a little bit of time so you can hit the pause button and write it out. Give that exercise here and we'll check it in just a moment. Okay, so let's resume here. Let's talk about this problem. Let's set this one up. How should it have looked? Well, if we do this one, let me do this off to the side. We're going to take our 3-variable polynomial, 2z squared minus 4z. I like putting a little cross on my z, by the way. I don't know about you, but it helps me to keep it from getting mixed up with a 2, and that's really easy to do if your variable is z, so be careful there. Plus 5. We're going to multiply that by positive 4z minus 2. So when we line it up, here's what I get. Positive 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. Even though we get a 1s here, we don't have to carry any digits. That's the nice thing about this kind of multiplication, is that there is no digit carrying. So we're going to go to the next one, negative 4z times negative 2, and that's going to give us plus 8z in our z's column here. Then we're going to take 2z squared times negative 2, and that's going to give us negative 4z squared. Make sure that the negative sign comes along for the ride here. We're going to keep a 0 down here. I'm not even going to fill this one in this time. Let's just carry it out. We're going to be taking 5 times 4z next. So that's going to go here in our z's column. 5 times 4z is plus 20z. We're going to take negative 4z plus 4z and multiply them to get negative 16 times z squared. And just like we did above, we're going to get a z cubed column. So we're going to take 2 times 4 to give us 8 times z cubed. And when we add going down the column, here's what should result. Negative 10 in the constants column. 8 plus 20, which is plus 28z. Negative 4z squared and negative 16z squared is going to give us negative 20z squared. And since nothing is being added to 8z cubed, we'll end up with the first term of 8z cubed. That would be our expression as the result of this. All right, more in the next video.